Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. All right, I'm getting ready to get started. Hi, Kathy, Ronnie. Do I have can you give me a thumbs up in regards to my audio right now?
Test 1 2.
Oh, there we go. Sounding good. I'll be started right in about 30 seconds or so. All right, well, good evening. I'm Carbon County Commissioner Chris Lukasevich. I want to thank you so much for joining me. This is Carbon Matters live stream. It's my opportunity to be with you this evening here virtually and share with you significant matters that have been occurring in Carbon County, both at the county level and down at the township and borough level also. So it's been a while since we've been doing, since our last time we've done Carbon Matters live stream. As many of you may recall, the last engagement was a county government, Carbon County Government 101 overview, and that was in, if I recall correctly, probably early to mid-December. So we have a lot of catching up to do. It's been a good 7 weeks or so, but I'm only going to hit on December very lightly because the fact is that is time well past us. But a couple things I want to mention kind of on the soft side of the news or events occurring in Carbon County and associated with Carbon County government. The first one is really, it's all about a shout out to the teamwork of raising the house, the county, Mock Chunk Lake Park, and a provider of lights at the lake, which occurred as a fundraising event sponsored by Raising the House out of Palmerton. I got through it probably a few days before Christmas. We got through as a family. Wonderful first year light display, about a mile long passage route through Mock Chunk Lake Park, through the main area, beach area, and then actually into the camping area. The weather was great. We didn't have any challenges we thought we might have with the potential of snow or ice on the improved trail or road that runs through the camping area. So congratulations on the inaugural Lights at the Lake. I have full expectation and hope that we're going to see Raising the House again back at Mock Chunk Lake Park sometime after Thanksgiving through to New Year's this coming holiday season, just 11 months away. So again, congratulations. All right, finally, I saw the new St. Luke's has opened in Mahoning Township. Congratulations to St. Luke's, and we are fortunate here in Carbon County to have one of 2 hospitals, new hospitals in the area. We expect to see LVHN opening also out in Mahoning. We have Franklin Township, of course, with St. Luke's, if I misspoke there. So in Franklin Township, right, St. Luke's, and then LVHN coming right down the road from the Walmart intersection this year. Finally, I did see this is a little bit heavier. We're starting to move into the heavy stuff real quick here. Finally, there was an issue about the clerk of courts who was trying to get an additional third party to assist with collection of owed delinquent accounts, restitution to victims, funds owed to the county, to the municipalities, to the taxpayer. The Board of Commissioners finally agreed, and from what I understand, the first tranche of potential collections have gone out to that third-party collection agency. And keep in mind, these were funds that have been, effort has been made over a notable period of time to be collected, not only through our own clerk of courts, but also AOPC, the administrative office of our courts, who has an agency. And once they exhaust all possible collections effort, then it's turned over to this additional third party. So we look forward to seeing updates from the clerk of courts, maybe in 3 to 6 months, to see the level of success at no cost to the county that this third party is able to produce for us. I will tell you, normally I would be reading the comments. They're really small. I got the iPad about 2 or 3 feet away. Maggie's engaged in something else this evening, so I don't have my normal individual here helping me co-host reading the comments as they come in. Let me see if I can pull it up on my iPad real quick. Sometimes the feed there is just as good in case we have comments coming in. But again, if you have a question, you can put it there and post it in the Facebook comments, and then later tonight or tomorrow I'll go ahead and go through all the comments and respond at that time also. You know, I've been working off my Facebook has changed the way the phone app is set up again, and it's so hard for me sometimes to find my shortcuts to my different pages. All right, there it is. Let's see. All right, great. Well, I see Kathy, Bev, Diane. Thank you guys again for tuning in tonight. So, Carbon seats judges, row officers, right? So 2 of our 3 judges, Judge Matika and Judge Nanovic, were voted in or to retain their positions. We also had Kevin Zelinka, the treasurer, the new treasurer, replaced Ronnie Sheehan. And then you had our clerk of courts, Tyler Boney, and our register of wills of Auchincourt, Jean Papay, who also was sworn in at the beginning of January. So congratulations to all those retained, elected, and re-elected. Ooh. Wow, that's a pretty recent one. That one will kind of jump out. We're going to hold that one. That's a Penn Forest one. We're going to hold that one for just a little bit. And there's another township one. I get all the township ones popping up here right now. Yeah, well, let's go ahead, right? So this is happening out in Lower Toa-Mensing. If you're reading the Times News, you're probably familiar with an individual who won a seat as a supervisor, has a record, meaning a criminal record, and from local actions on his part. And it is the belief of the residents of Lower Toe, from the ones I've heard from, and the Carbon County District Attorney, that individual should not be seated. That trial and tribulation continues to play out in Lower Toa-Mensing with, let's call him Supervisor-elect Terry Cooner. That action did go before the judge. Mr. Cooner indicated he would turn in his letter of resignation prior to this most recent meeting, and it did not occur. So we'll keep tuned to that to see what occurs with Mr. Cooner, an individual with a criminal record who, in all sense, according to our Carbon County District Attorney, should not be seated and assume that position from all indications. So we'll see how that plays out. Well, we might as well jump over to Penn Forest Township. I have been a strong advocate for preserving our ridge lines. This goes back now, 3.5 years ago, 4 years or so ago, both with the Atlantic wind turbine project up in Penn Forest Township, and then after that, the proposed turbine project up in Packer Township. Both of those, we thought, mostly the strongest advocates, supported by SOAR, Save Our Appalachians, right? Ridge lines. Thought we had a couple good solid victories, but the PA courts did grant a turbine an appeal to Atlantic Wind for their project up in Penn Forest Township, which is primarily in the Bethlehem Water Authority property, but obviously the visual signs of it indicates areas far greater than just the Bethlehem Water Authority property, given the size of the planned or proposed turbines up there. Now, Penn Forest Township rightly is challenging that wind ruling. And the argument all had to do around the noise level and the methodology that is used to measure the noise. So again, judge ruled that Penn Forest Township should have used the other methodology in determining if the turbines would exceed the noise level as described in its ordinance. So I'll continue to stand with the folks at Penn Forest Township, advocate for them, understand the Board of Commissioners has no formal role in the process except for what occurred previously, which was making recommendations to the Planning Commission at Penn Forest Township. Again, the County Planning and Development Commission simply makes recommendations. We can't direct the townships. The townships actually control that by municipal code. But I'll continue to be there and be the strongest vocal advocate I can for those opposed to the wind turbines in the Bethlehem Water Authority property in Penn Forest Township. If you're just joining me, I'm Carbon County Commissioner Chris Lukasevich. This is Carbon Matters live streaming, where I like to come together. Now it's about every 2 months or so, and kind of present the most significant matters that impact the quality of lives in our lives here in Carbon County. And it tends to be the local news that is impacting us, what's happening. A lot of it, of course, has a political tilt. You know, that's kind of the area I'm focused in right now. I was talking about school boards. I was grateful to see that Lehighton filled its vacancies, and really pleased with the decision of Jeremy Glausch to accept the position of supervisor. I had some great conversations with him as I was leading up to my campaign, and just after that. I think very highly of Jeremy, and I have high expectations that he's going to do a fabulous job on the Lehighton School Board as a supervisor. So congratulations, Jeremy, to you. PA maps to alter local districts, right? So every 10 years after the decennial census, the 10-year census, the legislators of the states go back and redraw their district lines. We're currently in that process. There are big to-do in Harrisburg right now. The lines have been redrawn and submitted. and now the argument is going back and forth. It's actually in the courts right now. I think the biggest impact in Carbon County that we'll surely see is, or most likely to see, would be that Summit Hill will become once again part of the district that Doyle Heffley represent. Currently, Representative Knowles has Summit Hill, and the rest of Carbon County is over here. So it's going to be great if, again, ultimately approved, that our representative district is all-inclusive of Carbon County, because Summit Hill, more or less a redheaded stepchild. I'm sure they don't feel they get the necessary attention they need from Harrisburg, because Jerry Knowles is probably focused on the majority, the remainder of his district. But I know he is a good individual who has fought hard and has had great interactions with us. But it would be great to have Carbon County all as one district. But again, that's in the courts. And one of the challenges it presents from the county is elections, right? Until we have the lines clearly drawn up, it's difficult, will be difficult to issue ballots, right? And so that they're actually looking at petition period for this coming primary to be pushed, or let me say expanded, given more time. So that's playing out in the courts right now. I know probably many of you did see also the judgment in regards to Act 77 and the no excuse voting that we have here in Carbon County and throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania since Act 77 was enacted. It appears it was ruled unconstitutional. However, the Wolf administration appealed on it, so there's a stay, but the courts are going to take that for reconsideration here in the coming weeks. Talking about county row officers, Sheriff Tony Harvilla recently retired. I believe it was on or about January 10th, and appointed to take his position was his second in command, Dan Ziegler. So Dan Ziegler is serving as the sheriff at this time, and I do know that the Democratic Party of Carbon County has and is advocating for Governor Wolf to appoint him to serve out the remainder of former Sheriff Harvilla's term, and after which he would have to run, or will run, likely to run for office. And there it is. Democrats recommend Ziegler as Carbon Sheriff. Oh, I have to jump back to Lehighton Area School District because they did bring Dr. Jake Boyer back on. And I think that's probably a great find. Had some great interactions with Dr. Boyer. Obviously, he was a former supervisor here in the Jim Thorpe Area School District. Very engaged in the community of Weisport, to include the Veterans Parade that was being held down there. So congratulations to Dr. Boyer and Lehighton Area School District supervisors for bringing them on board. Hi Katie, thanks for tuning in. I see Christian's there also. Hi Christian. Yeah, Penn Forest Township and the wind turbines. Sorry to see we're going back to the fight there, you guys, but best of luck with that. So we know an opioid settlement is in progress with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Carbon County is looking at an amount up to $4.5 million, plus because we are one of 3 bellwether counties moving forward with the suit, there is the expectation of additional funds beyond the $4.5 million. that will be coming to us over multiple years. And that money has to be used to help mitigate the effects, treatment, prevent continuous abuse of opioids and things of that nature. So look forward to seeing how the county will work with MHDS, Mental Health Disability Service, our drug and alcohol folks, to determine how to best utilize those resources. Talking about elections, and I am jumping around a little bit, there has been a lawsuit filed against Carbon in other counties in regards to National Voter Registration Act. A lawsuit was brought stating that many counties have failed to properly scrub their voter rolls. So again, moving individuals off the voter rolls who no longer should be on them. I will tell you, our voter rolls look pretty darn good. This was kind of a blanket suit, not specifically targeting Carbon County by any means, form, or fashion. But again, doing due diligence, we have hired an attorney to assist us with that election lawsuit. Oh, so we have a new sheriff, we have a new treasurer, we also have a new warden at Carbon County Prison. Jim Youngkin, who previously, well over a decade ago, was working for Carbon County and subsequently went to Schuylkill County and worked up there, was selected after probably a 3-month selection process, literally dozens upon dozens of candidates, multiple rounds of interviews for 2 different examinations of potential candidates. Jim was selected our warden. We did, though, recognize our acting warden, Laura Banta, who was provided to us from the state corrections, who assists us through an extremely challenging and difficult time as we worked to revamp the prison, get it going in the right direction. So acting warden Banta, supported by 2 contractors that we had come in to do a study of the prison. There is a map, a pathway of plan that has been set up to implement the recommended changes at the prison. We just made a significant investment in additional corrections officers, sergeants, and assistant deputy wardens at the prison to help the manning issues. Those manning issues really impact not only the corrections officers who have an inordinate amount of overtime, and that can be very trying in that environment, but it impacts us with 5,000-6,000 hours a year of overtime. So you take those 5,000 or 6,000 hours of overtime, and what you're paying for that, you're better off hiring 2 or 3 corrections officers. And so that's part of the resolution for the inordinate amount of overtime and the stress that causes on our corrections officers and corrections professionals. So shout out to Laura Banta, who has now departed, for her assistance helping us at Carbon County Prison, and welcome Jim Youngkin and the nascent and developing senior leadership team of assistant deputy wardens and sergeants, and of course those who work with them and for them, the corrections officers. All right. The Burn Tower Emergency Operation Training Center, that is going vertical. They're laying block up there on the Broad Mountain. So that continues to progress, and there is a possibility that could be finished this year if the weather holds out and progress continues as planned. So stay tuned for that. What I'll do, I'll make sure I get up there and get some pictures taken in the next week or so and post those online so you can start to see the progress. As a matter of fact, I believe it's in May, April or May, we're going to get our Council of Government representatives up there. And Wayne, Commissioner Osteen, is going to give them a tour of the facility as it's being constructed and talk about the role it's going to play for a training facility for our first responders, our EMS personnel, and others. Now, there was an article, I was looking at it right here, talking about the prison, carbon inmates to get tablets. Now, about 2 years ago, it was brought to us by the then warden about tablets. I don't want to call them iPads, so tablets for the prisoners. So that issue is being rediscussed. The prison board has recommended to the Board of Commissioners that tablets should be procured for the prison. Now, why is this? So they can watch Netflix? No, by no means, right? So this is the logic that's playing out in regards to the tablets. One, you do want to keep individuals occupied because, right, you know, what is the devil's hand, right? You know, if you have nothing to do, you're going to find something to do. And that something to do isn't going to be a good thing to do. So, right, we want to keep people engaged. If they're not working, they're not sleeping, they're not eating, they need to be engaged in some type of activity, right? Because that helps keep kind of the tempers a little cooled down. But importantly, what we see and all the research has shown with the use of tablets, you start reducing the number of visitors into the prison. You see a lot more visitation that is being done by audio visual. You start seeing them communicating in lieu of, there won't be letters anymore except for a legal mail, but what will happen, letters and correspondence can actually come over the tablet. So if an inmate qualifies to use a tablet, of which there is a fee associated with, they would be able to access mail via tablet. Also, there are additional security measures that it provides to the prison, the corrections officers, to help ensure a more secure prison and minimize the entry of contraband into the system. So as the Board of Commissioners formally look at this more and review a contract, I'll go ahead and work towards developing that kind of pros and con list and what will be driving the ultimate decision for this. But I will tell you, I was adamantly against this 2 years ago because of the way it was sold. But talking to other prison facilities, there's actually a reasonable discussion, rational discussion that needs to take place in regards to the potential use of tablets or provisioning of tablets in Carbon County Prison. And we'll come and discuss that more in detail. Children and youth upgrades. Carbon County Children and Youth went through a very troublesome period over about our first probably 6 to 8 months. New leadership, new plan of action. We got our license back. And we see truly, in about the last 12 months, you can really start seeing the traction being made. Not only hiring new personnel, and I believe we just created 11 new positions in Children and Youth Services, 80% which are paid for by state funding, our tax money, but again, it's not direct from our tax base here in Carbon County, but rather through money that goes to the state and comes back to us in the way of grants and other funding. You have seen a leadership in children and youth that has been creative, have been strategic in their planning. They have a long-term plan, medium-term plan, and a supporting short-term plan. All of those nested together where literally on a monthly basis you can see the progress that is being made. So better serving the residents and the children of Carbon County. Man, I'm all over the place because here I am back to prison board. But we just did reorganize the prison board with the departure of Sheriff Arvillo, who was the chair, our lead of the prison board. We voted unanimously the prison board, which consists of the 3 commissioners, the controller, the warden, who participates. So you have the 3 commissioners, the controller, Judge Nanovic, the district attorney. We did unanimously elect DA Michael Greek as the head of the prison board. And then again now, we just signed about a $1.5 million contract for medical services with the prison. I will tell you, I think all of us up there were underimpressed with the quality of care that was consistently provided. Now I gotta tell you, we had some incredible nurses up there. They were punching well beyond their weight, did an incredible job. But again, they're only nurses. We had a contracted doctor who would come in. We really had a challenging time providing good quality care at the prison for inmates. And I am confident with the contract we have that ultimately we're going to be extremely happy with the increased care that's provided, the efficiency, the effectiveness of the program being instituted, and importantly, the reduced liability to the county for providing care that was less than optimal for this particular population of inmates. So I think we're all going to see when we look back as we work through the transition over the next 90 to 120 days, and then maybe a year from now, looking back and assessing where we stand with the contract, we're going to see a measurable increase in the quality of care at the Carbon County Prison. About 2 weeks into the year, we had a Board of Commissioners meeting. 3 motions that I made. One, and first and foremost, I had a motion to invite the municipality elected officials, those boards, the opportunity to send a representative once a year to the Board of Commissioners meeting and provide a 15-minute overview to the Board of Commissioners in a public forum with 3 to 4 media organizations represented to present to us and to the public by default, be it either in person or through our live streaming that we have, for the municipalities to present their priorities, issues, and challenges direct to the Board of Commissioners. That concept letter is also posted online on Facebook on C4 Commissioners. Should take a look at that. And the 3rd year in a row, it didn't get a second. And I don't understand the logic. Now, my colleagues will say, well, if there's an issue, the supervisors or our borough council members will call us and talk to us. And they do. But other than probably our hometowns, for me, Jim Thorpe, potentially for Rocky and Wayne Lehighton, how well do we know the overall issues of our communities? How well do we know the priorities, the issues and challenges, the plan of actions, the strategies that our supervisors or borough council members have developed, right? And unless we're fully attuned to that, it makes it extremely difficult to advocate and support those initiatives. And the earlier we're brought in and are made aware of the issues, challenges, priorities, and strategy that they might have, I would argue the much better results we all will have. The other important one, I thought, was in regards to Pocono Mountain Visitors Bureau and the hotel tax, which has increased well over 100%. So a hotel tax, right, is brought in and provided to the county. The county then, from all of that tax that is collected quarterly, we take the treasurer because it passes through the treasurer's office. 4% is kept by the county for the administration fee. Of the remainder, 500, and now that's of the gross, anything under $500,000, the county gets 20% back to it to use to support, on our part, to support tourism, programs, projects, marketing. Anything above $500,000 of revenue that comes in, we get 10%. I believe due to the strain on the infrastructure in wanting to continue to improve and maintain our facilities, which are heavily used by visitors, Josiah White Park, our parking facilities, Mock Chunk Lake Park, that a larger percentage should be coming back to the county directly. Probably in the neighborhood of 25 to 30%, and then probably beyond that, instead of the 10%, maybe to the 15 to 20%. 9 out of 10 visitors or campers Mock Chunk Lake Park are non-county residents. Similarly, 8 out of 10 visitors, anecdotal, and we're starting to assess those numbers, who go to our Mock Chunk Lake Park for swimming, non-county residents, right? Now, we of course do charge a larger fee or a higher fee to non-county residents, but it doesn't sufficiently pay for the stress on the infrastructure, be it the cabins, the campsites, the maintenance that has to take place. And what we do use that money for, that I was speaking about, that comes back to us, is about, I believe it was like last year budgeted about $150,000 went to Mock Chunk Lake Park. Now that's also, the county contributes directly, and of course a large part of parking revenue goes there also. So a bit of disagreement on that. Again, no second on that motion either. The third motion, let's see if it's on there on page 2, because I didn't actually see what they wrote about it there. Oh, that was the con. Oh, so we have 21 P.O. boxes in Carbon County. It only costs about $2,600 for the 21 P.O. boxes, but it costs about $50,000 plus in labor, because we, for all intent and purposes, have 21 mail clerks, pseudo mail clerks, although we only officially have one who's a union member. What happens is those 21 mailboxes are checked by individual offices for the most part. It takes on average 15 minutes to check the mail. And if you extrapolate all the math, what does it cost in man hours to do that work, convert that into dollars, you end up seeing that those P.O. boxes cost us about $55,000 a year. The United States Post Office in Jim Thorpe is literally, 10 feet, about 140 feet doorway to doorway from the administration building to the post office. Yet we have to have up to 21 individuals daily going to check P.O. boxes. a notable number if all but a few of those P.O. boxes could be eliminated or combined, modified, adjusted in size. You have one office that has the largest size 4, gets very minimal mail. Yet the elections office that probably gets more mail than any other office, I would argue, has a smaller size box. So there's resizing that needs to take place, there's reduction of that, and just the fact that the Postal Service job is to deliver the mail. It's not 21 county employees' job to go check the mail. We can do much better. There's a good doodle that I created, plus all the math, C4 Commissioner Facebook page, it's all there. Interesting, talking about budget stress, Schuylkill County seems like they're not being too forthright with their budget. Actually, you have people having to do a right to know to get full budget information. And I did my own search. Carbon County does a great job. Our entire budget, quite detailed. I think it's about 140 pages. It might be a little smaller now due to the way it's being printed and stuff like that, is available online for review. I looked at a couple county websites, local ones, and it's basically an overview, 2 or 3 pages, very broad, get no sense of what county is doing with our money. So I encourage you to look at the budget on Carbon County, on the Carbon County website, because we are doing a good job of ensuring that is available. In regards to the budget, right, we did see that $500,000 increase was proposed. Let's see, you got something there. All right, wow. All right, got about 15 minutes here. All right, $500,000 increase was proposed. Rocky and I voted against that $500,000 increase. We thought savings could take place, but interesting, pay raises are not truly part of the budget process. What happens is $650,000 is set aside in the budget in process for pay and salary increases. And then after the budget is approved, then we have the annual salary board. And well, what happened this year? The 3% across the board, new positions, and other select individual specific raises exceeded the $650,000 contingency. Our budgeting process is ass backwards, pardon the language. The fact is, before the budget is approved, there has to be a solid number for salaries set aside. And again, keep in mind that it's not just simply the 3% or the 6% increase. It was a 3% across the board increase this year. But again, there are additional costs to the employer and thus the taxpayer associated with that. The FICA, the Medicare, right? Those types of things that add to that 3%. So maybe you're only giving them $500, but when you add Social Security and all that onto that, it really builds up quickly. And this year it did. Basically, we were in the red in regards to exceeding the contingency fund of $650 before the budget year almost started. And that's also supposed to serve that contingency fund for issues that pop up that were unplanned. So that $500,000 increase got voted down though. Fortunately, we had about $10 million in carryover money. We always carry over a certain amount of money because January, February, March, April, there's very little money coming into the county. It starts coming in the end of April, beginning of May when tax revenue comes in. So you do always carry over some. Normally though, you only need to carry over $4 or $5 million. Might have gone up a bit higher than that 1 year or so. So we really do have money available, but again, you want to keep that buffer. For example, there are entities like Children and Youth Services who are waiting on reimbursements from the state, and we have to actually, the county has to loan Children and Youth Services money to pay their bills until the state reimburses them. So we did okay the budget with no tax hike. And I do believe that next year we'll be able to do the same. So we'll see what happens. So who knows between now and then. Talking about that, right? Across the board pay increase, 3%. You know, I'm not a believer in across the board pay increases that exceed inflation. This one didn't. But I also believe in merit-based pay increases, right? Your highest performers need to be compensated for the highest level of performance. I'm a believer in setting aside a couple $100,000 for a board that would provide bonuses, right? There'd be a period at which department officials, row officers, would recommend, based upon superior performance, proven superior performance, to a board. Then that board would make recommendations to the salary board of granting increases to specific individuals for superior service. Challenging to do? Sure, maybe. But again, I want to ensure we're incentivizing our best and brightest, and then hopefully seeing that there's a potential for additional compensation, others will be motivated to not do simply the minimum, but to go above and beyond. But tied into that, of course, has to be an excellent, very strong evaluation system. Counties is broken. Broken as broken can be. My thought on that would be, for example, the Board of Commissioners have to be more directly involved in the evaluation process. Right now, the way the county works when it comes to the department heads under the Board of Commissioners, one individual is responsible for evaluating annually 21, 22 individuals, right? That's the chief clerk. That's how it's set up. It's crazy. What I would like to see to be the senior evaluator of those department heads is that the 3 commissioners and the chief clerk each take more or less 5 or 6 individuals a year. So let's say I have departments 1 through 5, and this year I'd be responsible for the evaluation of that department head, the counseling, the engagements, helping them set objectives, azimuth checks to see how they're doing achieving their personal, professional, office objectives, and then doing their evaluation at the end of the year. So I'd have departments 1 through 5. The other commissioner would have 6 to 10. The other one would have 11 to 15 or 16. And then the chief clerk would have 16 to 21. And that would also allow us to do a deeper dive into those offices whose department heads were evaluating. But then after a year, we kind of switch. There's a rotation. Now I would take 6 to 10, department 6 to 10. Rocky would shift to 11 to 15. And over a 4-year period of your term, you would get a deep dive into the offices and your department heads and really get to know them and what they do in their struggles. Now there is a challenge with the 1620 authority, hire, fire, supervise that row officers have, where that primarily responsibility for assessment of their individuals fall upon them. However, the Board of Commissioners did pass a motion 2 years ago that says before individual salary increases are requested, they must be accompanied by the evaluation. Now, we kind of let it slide for a year, but you're going to see a concerted effort on my part when an individual increase in salary comes up for an individual. I'll tell you what, if it doesn't have stamped to it a current evaluation, I don't care if you're a row officer or department head, that's one no vote. Again, only one person out of 4-person salary board, but if you can't show me a current evaluation of that individual, I will not support a pay raise. All right, that's enough of that. Ooh. All right, we talked about pay increases, that's done. Oh, God, there it was. Hotel collections were up. That revenue is skyrocketing. Hey, keep in mind with Pocono Mountain Visitor Bureau and the money that goes up there from the hotel tax, they do a fantastic job of promoting Carbon County. And that's primarily what, they also have a grant program that comes back that is executed here, also providing grants to promote tourism and that. But I will tell you, PMVB does a great job promoting Carbon County. So we are getting good bang for our buck from the money that goes up there to PMVB. But have we hit the point where, you look at somewhere like downtown Jim Thorpe, it's saturated. Do you want to continue to push for more people, or do you want to maintain the level of people that are there? Because right now, we don't have enough parking, we don't have enough restaurants, and I would argue we don't have enough activities just in downtown Jim Thorpe. Now, obviously, what you try to do is get them from not only visiting Jim Thorpe, but you want them visiting all 23 municipalities and communities, right? Up to the number 9 mine, up to Penn Forest Township, be it for the whitewater rafting, get them up into Kidder Township for activities, hiking up there. Get them all over, Tully Heighton, to all 23 of our municipalities, so that all of us benefit both directly and indirectly from the tourism that we have here. Parking lot revenue up over $1 million. It's exceeded $1 million after less than a year of kiosk operations. So we had a little bit over about 100% increase in revenue. It was, I think, 450, 455 in 2019. In a year of measuring with the kiosks, we went well over $1 million. Now that money goes to paving. We actually have $1 million paving project for our parking lot. Maintenance of the railroad station, Josiah White Park. A big chunk goes out to Mock Chunk Lake Park also. So that's money and work that's being done in the county that doesn't have to come out of our pockets. That's coming out of parking revenue. And if you look at the numbers, and I did it for 2018, 2019 parking numbers, no doubt, probably $9.5 out of 10 comes from visitor parking, non-county resident parking. So we are benefiting from that. Hey, there's those that won't seek re-election, so that's really about Summit Hill there. We sold the railroad for $4.7 million, $3 million in cash, $2 million up front, and then $1 million prorated over 8 years, plus $1.7 million in kind contributions, which were rail improvements along what was 19 miles or so of county railroad, plus 2 crossings. You'll see if you're down by the pedestrian bridge, you'll see a new crossing has been put in there. And within the next year or two, you'll see an additional and notable upgraded crossing right there in front of on the side of the annex, our administration building, right when you go in the parking lot. So again, we did sell the railroad. Lansford wasn't real happy with the 25% of the $2 million they got, or the 25% of the additional $1 million they're going to get. So Lansford is pursuing a lawsuit against the county, saying, I suspect it'll say something. We didn't sufficiently include them in the conversation, or we haven't received fair value for the railroad, or they believe that of that $1.7 million in kind, which is in cash, that for some reason, justification, they should get $1 percentage of that, so 25% of the 1.7 million in kind. So we'll see what that lawsuit actually says. Jim Thorpe did sell their administration building, right? Carbon County had that within our grasp, and at the last minute, Wayne Recant got suckered into this building down in Lehighton that's not going to actually meet the needs of the office. Over the next year, you're going to see this play out. What a colossal mistake not buying the Jim Thorpe School District building is going to turn out to be. It's playing out right now. I won't share that, but you're going to see it. I'm keeping the numbers. It was short-sighted not to purchase that building, renovate it. It would have met the needs of at least 4 county offices, plus additional space if we wanted to. We had an additional 5,000 feet that we could have converted also. Again, it's going to play out where that failure for the county to go through with that purchase is going to be the greatest error of judgment, I would argue, that will occur in my first 4-year term. And again, you know me, I was full on to that building. I just done a reassessment of it here about 2 or 3 weeks ago. It still makes better sense than any other option out there. History will prove me right on that. Because right now, county is seeking rental space. What did I used to say? You spend, that was going to be a $435,000 offer. Even if you just held that building for 2 years during the elevator and the courthouse renovation project, you're going to save money for the county, because now we're running all over the county trying to find rental space. Because we have an elevator project, we need 2 courtrooms, we need the support for that. And then we're going, so that's just for a 2-month elevator project, right? Then for a year, year and a half, we're going to be seeking rental space while we're renovating the entirety of the courthouse. And it's going to be spread out. The plan looks like do it floor by floor. That's what takes it to, potentially 18 months. Let's hope it's less. But again, instead of lock, stock, and barrel, emptying out the courthouse, putting them up in the school district office for 12 to 18 months, we're going to be jumping all over the county trying to piece together real estate leases. And again, it's going to cost you, me, much more money than buying the school district office at $435,000. And then you know what? If we did want to go through with the $6 to $7 million plan that Boyle Construction had, that could, or they went almost $8 million, $9 million if you did a parking garage. However, it could be done differently, a lease to own for probably $6.5 million, which would have fit 4 offices, 84 individuals, etc. We could have sold that, right? We didn't have to hold on to that building. We could have bought it for $435, used it for 2.5 years during all of these renovation projects, and if we didn't want to go through with it, sell it. We still would have come out ahead a couple $100,000. Ludicrous. Because now Carbon is mulling buildings in Lehighton, that aren't actually going to meet the needs, not even of the one office that might go down there. Thorpe offers county rental space for trials. So now we're trying to seek space over at Memorial Hall, the Jim Thorpe Area School District office, which is under contract to be sold to Sargent Enterprises, right? Oh, hey, there it is. This is going back to Cooner. Lieutenant Lower Tormenting Supervisor Cooner didn't resign. It's going to be curious to see how the DA, District Attorney Mike Reek, follows through on his action against that supervisor-elect. Hey, if you're just joining me, I'm getting ready to wrap it up here. This is Carbon County Commissioner Chris Lukasevich, and this is Carbon Matters live streaming. I'm here doing it solo. Maggie's engaged in other activities tonight. I'm going to wrap it up after 2 more articles. But I want to thank you for joining me tonight. While this does serve as an opportunity for maybe those who don't keep up with what's going on in county government and the municipalities, you're not reading the Times News, Standard Speaker, Journal Herald, Penn Kidder Journal, you're not watching Blue Ridge Cable, whatever the case may be, this is a chance to kind of catch up quickly on maybe what's been going on in the last 4 or 6 weeks. Last thing, Mock Chunk Opera House upgrades in the work, right? They have a grant, so Carbon County, Mock Chunk Opera House, hopefully they'll get those upgrades done. New HVAC system in there and other things I suspect that they're doing. But I did want to mention and finish up, since this is live streaming, I'm kind of leading the effort on the broadband study in Carbon County. From the county perspective, we contracted with Design 9, who is leading this feasibility broadband study. I'm going to call it feasibility study. It's a broadband study over about the next 4 months. And what we're looking to determine with this study, and we did receive a grant to pay 50% of this study, for 50% of this study. We were able to use other funds to actually pay for it. So again, this isn't coming directly from our coffers. But again, we all know that money, grants or otherwise, be it American Rescue Plan or other, it all ends up being tax money. But it might be spread out over taxation of 300 million Americans in lieu of just 64 Carbon County residents, right? So the broadband study has commenced. We did our kickoff meeting last week. Let's see, Monday, Tuesday? Yeah, this last week. There's a survey that will be going out to every residential address in Carbon County with the survey. The draft has just come back. That'll be finalized tomorrow of the survey. It'll also go out to business. Businesses will have an opportunity, as will residents. It'll also be made available online. I'll push that out on the county Facebook page, my Facebook page. Will ensure it gets the widest dissemination possible. So what we're doing is we're looking at the current existing broadband infrastructure, right? Be it through Blue Ridge Cable, Atlantic Broadband, Windstream, might be through your cellular provider, AT&T, Verizon, whoever you might use. But we want to see the existing broadband structure we have, look at the gaps, and once we identify the gaps, figure out the resources to execute a plan or a strategy to fill those gaps so we can enhance the ability of Carbon County residents and businesses telework, telecommute, teleeducate, and to carry out telemedicine. All right, that's what we're hoping to achieve, to have a roadmap based upon good, solid information specific to Carbon County. So I would appeal to you now, and when the study is taking place, to participate in the survey. If there are public hearings, be it for elected officials or for the public, I would ask that you participate and engage with Design 9, who will be leading our study. So we're running about 10 minutes late. Again, I had about 7 weeks of information I was trying to get through pretty quickly. I gotta tell you, I much prefer when Maggie's here and I'm able to engage with Maggie because she brings up a lot of good points that I might overlook or have a different perspective on here. So I'll try to get Maggie back on here in the very near term. Also, Maggie and I were talking about from time to time having a guest co-host come in. So again, if you're interested, and again, I'll throw it out there, if you're interested in being a guest co-host, meaning, and you're an individual who stays engaged in what's going on in the county with that same kind of passion that I have for what's occurring at the municipality and specifically also, of course, my area of concentration, the county level, I'd love to have you reach out to me at 570-503-6780. Post me a message on Facebook. Drop me an email at clukasevich@carboncounty.net or Chris at C4 Commissioner. There's so many ways to contact me, 570-503-6780. If you're interested in maybe being a co-host, Maggie and I will talk to you, and maybe every other time I do Carbon Matters, I'll have someone else other than Maggie in the chair beside me serving as my co-host, and as we'll talk through the issues and challenges that we confront as citizens of Carbon County. So I want to thank you all for joining me. This has been Carbon Matters live streaming. It's been a pleasure to be with you tonight. I'll go through any comments that may have been posted. Like I said, over the next day or so, if I get overly busy, because there are a couple big things going on in the county, I'll go ahead and get through them worst case this weekend. But it's always a pleasure to be with you, spend a little bit of time. Often also, after the commissioners meeting, I do the meeting. After the meeting, tune into that. That's kind of a fresh recap of the Board of Commissioners meeting. So again, Carbon County Commissioner Chris Lukasevich, I'm out of here. Have a great night. Be safe out there if you have to travel tomorrow. I know Lee Heighton has already canceled for tomorrow, and expect we'll see other cancellations. Hope you, the kids, all have a wonderful day off, or whatever the day may hold for you. Have a wonderful weekend. Chris Lukasevich, Carbon County Commissioner. I'm out of here.